Going on? Legion Nuta here playing more RuneScape Dragonwilds, and we're doing our daily gaming XP grind. Welcome to episode 23. So we've got quite a bit of resources as we have been playing the game behind the scenes quite a bit. So I do believe I've left a few things in here to cook, if I'm not mistaken. Perhaps not. Looks like I've already used them. So today I want to be focusing on a couple things actually, and I think we're just going to do an XP update really quick to show you guys where we're at. So 255,000 attack XP, woodcutting 772,000 XP, construction 1,541,000 XP, runecrafting 376,000 XP, magic 24,000 XP, mining 4,016,000 XP, artisan 3,023,000 XP, and cooking 113,000. So we were actually recently in, is it the Storm Touched Highlands, and we were trying to get our magic as close to leveling as possible, so that way we could sort of show you guys our next magic level. As it's actually not that difficult to get levels in magic, you just sort of have to go run and kill sheep and rams and the plants, as well as some of the Garu. And that can be a little bit tricky when you're fighting the Garu. You want to make sure that the ones you're fighting are basically not going to annihilate you, as magic is a little tricky in the way that it is a powerful skill. It just seems like it's a little bit weaker against those level 4 creatures. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. But I think potentially when they release the next when they release the patch in December, I think they will probably be updating magic a little bit, and that's speculation currently at this point. But obviously, more powerful monsters are going to be coming to the game, so maybe that's when they'll sort of add earth runes or blood runes or something like that. Because I know just as much as you do, but what I do know for a fact is that in the current state that it's in, it would not be very effective against more powerful creatures, as it sort of just does the job now against the creatures we fight. And as you know, if you're going up against the Garu, it can be at times challenging, especially the Berserkers can be quite powerful. So it's not really effective, because once they get close to you, it can make it a little bit complicated. But anyway, there we go. Magic level 45. I guess I didn't kill the rat. I thought I killed him. But anyways, so we've done that. We're level 45 magic. So that's pretty awesome. And we are now going to be focusing a little bit on cooking. And this is going to take a second here, because we obviously want to maximize our XP that we're going to be getting from this. And so let's go ahead and pull out. This is ridiculous. Is this going to be like it always is, where like 6 rats come inside here? Okay, not this time. But sometimes that does happen, which is actually quite crazy. So I've got lots of cooked food, and I thought I put it all in one chest. I was going to work on cooking a little bit. So let's put out all the food, all the secondaries, so that way we can maximize XP. I was trying to do a little bit of calculations earlier, and basically how much dirty water I would have to collect to potentially get a ridiculous amount of XP in cooking, and it is definitely a ridiculous amount. I mean, we're talking upwards of maybe 300,000 dirty water to get a ridiculously significant amount of cooking XP. So ultimately, it just sort of makes sense to not go that route, and to sort of just kill tons of creatures with magic and attack. And obviously that's going to take time to collect all that different meat and different things like that. But I will be getting hides, which I'm not necessarily concerned with leveling up artisan anymore, but I still think it would benefit to, obviously I'd be getting more artisan XP. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. I should have a lot more food that I can actually cook, but it's not here. So I'm not sure why that is. So we actually got to grab our, maybe I've got it inside my personal chest, which really wouldn't make any sense. I do have some things in there. We're going to leave them in there. But I should have quite a bit of dwell berries, as I've been collecting a ridiculous amount. There we go, there's 65 right there. So I don't think we have any dirty water. It would actually come in handy too, because some of these secondaries I can use with it. So this must have been one of the ones. This one had 49 that I was sort of putting together. So this is only going to give me 6 meat stew, which isn't going to be ridiculous. So I did put a little bit of my materials in here with it. But let's put these together and see. So 32 of the glazed roast. So that's actually quite a bit. Let's go ahead and pop a cooking potion, just in case some of these things actually finish cooking. I want to make sure I'm maximizing XP while doing this. So we do got quite a bit of chicken. Let's see. I guess that is going to give me 3. It's not a ridiculous amount, but it's something. So maybe I could put potatoes with those. So it's going to be the long haul when it comes to cooking. Like I've stated before, I think it's the most difficult skill in the game to level up currently. Obviously, you could argue that maybe attack or something like that. But I'm looking here at the skill list. These, I mean, wood cutting is just time consuming. It's relatively easy. Construction easy. Rune crafting. So all these different skills. This is the one where you'd have to kill an outrageous amount of creatures. I don't know why this keeps happening, all these rats, but this helps with our food concerns. But ultimately, you just have to kill a ridiculous amount of creatures to get the food required to level the skills. So that's why I sort of hold it in a different regard than all the other skills, because it would just take an immense amount of time collecting all these different things. So anyways, I want to sort of turn all these hides into items, because they obviously are taking up a lot of room, and it just makes more sense to get rid of them. And I know that I don't necessarily need the artisan XP, but at the same time, I mean, it's going to get a little bit crazy to have all that. So all my stuff's cooking over there, and while that's doing that, we are going to be turning all these into other materials. We did actually make a little bit of gear recently, so that was quite nice. But we are going to have to get more hard leather to keep working on the mannequins. I don't necessarily have a time that I'm going to be finishing all that, as it's not extremely important. It's just sort of an aesthetic thing, because obviously I build so much that it's going to require that I build so much. It just sort of makes sense to do something with all the material rather than just have it sit around. But right now we're actually losing a little bit of artisan XP that we potentially could be getting, but I'm not really too concerned with that. So we'll make some hard leather, whatever. Let's get a little bit more artisan XP, which we're not really too concerned in. You know, even today, it's something that's always on my mind, is what is 99 going to require? It's a difficult battle with me, because I try not to focus on it too much, because at the end of the day, it is what it is, but it is a survival game, so I'm quite focused on that. What is it going to look like? So we will just take a sip of each of these, and then we are going to focus on the next thing, which I guess we'll go do some rune crafting. We actually really should bring some vault cores, because I feel like we could add a lot more, but that's something I think we should be probably doing on behind the scenes. So let's go ahead and grab these arrows, and before we go, we've got our cooking potion active. We may as well pick this up. So 762, 774 cooking XP. So it's not great, as I stated before. It's going to be incredibly time consuming, which is not really a big deal. So, as we are going to be making daily videos for the foreseeable future. So I don't see any in the air. So interesting. We need to go back, because we forgot our rune crafting potion. We also made a bunch more of those, as we know that that's going to be a big focus. I'm actually quite surprised that I have 376,000 rune crafting XP, as it's just sort of a time consuming thing. But ultimately, I mean, it's not something you can just sort of rush. So I'm actually very impressed and happy and pleased with how much we have right now. So this is pretty much what it is. I mean, I really need to add more vault cores. And I'm sorry, lodestones. So I have plenty of the vault cores. I just need to place lodestones with them, because essentially I'm after such a large amount, it just makes sense to start putting lodestones at more of these rune essence nodes. And as I always talk about, potentially as the game changes into September, December, when they add was it Fell Hollow, that there probably will be a richer node for rune essence. I mean, that only makes sense because then essentially you have to upgrade the areas to sort of fit it. So I think it will be progressively, I don't want to say easier to get XP because obviously the creatures are going to be increased difficulty and it's going to make it a little bit more challenging to do things in a game, especially with potential fatigue and needing to find shade and things like that while you play the game. So all that stuff's actually quite exciting in the way, in the direction that they could take it to sort of add a different element to the game. Some of it's actually a little bit scary because I don't know what their plans are, but they do know what RuneScape players like. So I think we're in good hands in that regard. But I don't want it to be to the point where we're going, to this new place and it's unbearable. Like, it's to the point where it's not even fun because whatever they've decided to use as sort of a mechanic to create fatigue, it's like unbearable to even be in a zone. Like, I suppose, what is it? Bloodblight Swamp. I mean, you've got poison, so you constantly have to have an anti-poison potion active. I've tried those little kebabs. I thought maybe that would protect me, but unfortunately it did not work. So I thought that was quite interesting because I really thought that because it says something about stopping poison effects and it doesn't seem to work for me. So you essentially can't use potions when it comes to like mining and things like that, which I guess it's not necessarily a bad thing because you're protecting the long haul in the game because because that's obviously currently right now the best ores you can mine to get XP. So you're sort of preventing people from just getting levels really quick. So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. But really what I'm trying to say is that you go to a new zone and they may have some sort of thing that happens while you're there that just makes it unbearable. I don't think that would be fun. Maybe you can only spend 20 minutes skilling in the zone because some sort of weird thing is going to happen that's going to make it so you can't do anything. But I guess we just have to wait and see what happens. But I think even those things that may be a little bit irritating, they can sort of work with. I know Velgar used to fly around and cause a lot of problems for a lot of people. And then I think they sort of changed it. So if you've killed him, then he no longer does that. And I've sort of got mixed feelings about that because I do feel like it was a part of the game and they changed it because people didn't like it. We've got to fix our pickaxe. So I have to do that really quick. But ultimately, people complained that it made the game a little bit unbearable. And in that regard, I kind of enjoyed that sort of spontaneous thing. And for someone who plays the game like a ridiculous amount, like I've stated before, like hundreds of hours in a game, I mean, it did make it a little bit difficult. And at sometimes it was a little bit ridiculous, mixed with all the warbands. But at the same time, I mean, it's tricky. I think maybe they should have lowered the limits of it happening, but I thought there was actually something really cool about a dragon sort of just coming around and making your life a little bit more difficult. So, I don't know, it's a little bit tricky, and it's really not up to me to decide which different mechanics they can add and keep in a game. Obviously, there's a lot of players, and everyone's feedback's very important, and everyone's experience as well. So you don't want people to stop playing your game just because there's a dragon who won't let you enjoy it. So I do understand. But moving aside from that topic, Ranged will be coming to the game on September 9th. And although it seems like it's light years away, it's really not. And ultimately, I think it's going to, like I've stated before in other videos, I think they sort of talk about potentially releasing other monsters with range. And I read that in two places, and I can't remember right now where that was. But I think it's pretty important that they do that, because currently, right now, we don't have a lot in the regard of like it's the same creatures to kill just over and over. So I think it would be really beneficial if they sort of added something else with range in regards to what we can kill. I don't really know how they'd implement that, where they would put it, but maybe it's just something inside the existing vaults. Because when Fella Hollow comes out, if you really think about it, we will be coming back to these vaults. But I think the primary reason that we will be doing that is because we're going to need more vault cores, so that way we can make more lodestones in the new area. But aside from that, those creatures are sort of going to be obsolete unless we need vault shards, which usually I just find those in the chests. I don't really rerun those vaults. So in one aspect, it's sort of dead content, other than running in really quick and then grabbing, the vault cores. So to make it a little bit more interesting, and that way that their content is sort of replayed again, I think adding blood runes to the game, but maybe you can't craft them. Maybe the only way they can be gotten is through doing vaults. So I think that would make it a lot more like content's being reused rather than sort of just being dead content. I think as they introduce new regions into the game, it will be interesting to see how much content is still going to be visited rather than just left behind. Because I think the more content they add to the game as well, like you'll spend a lot less time in these areas, which I mean, obviously these areas are actually pretty cool. So I think that's something that they're sort of going to need to look into a little bit. So I'm pretty sure I've already made a grave mistake and I have my rune crafting potion expired. But at least it wasn't while I was making runes like last time, as that was devastating to watch. I think I only lost in the grand scheme 750 rune crafting XP, but as much as I do, every bit matters as we are on the road to max. So I think it's important to just be a little bit careful and mindful when you're doing things. And I'm one to talk, right? Because I'm constantly making those mistakes. So I need to get better about it. But let's go ahead, and we've pretty much finished with this area. We've got all the rune essence we're going to be able to get. Let's go over here. So I moved my lodestones that used to be over here because it wasn't allowing the rune essence to respawn. But now that I moved the lodestone, now it does respawn. So I must have missed this last time when I was doing my run, because we've got quite a bit of rune essence over here. So that's actually quite good. It's going to put us at a pretty good number when we go to make our runes. So just got to grab this really quick. And I'm actually enjoying all this. It's very interesting because I was building for a while. It was keeping me entertained. And I don't know. I don't know what else I could really build. The truth is, I've got a couple ideas. And I talked about this a little bit before. I've got a couple ideas. But the truth is, I mean, a lot of it comes down to stability, right? What can I actually build that the game's going to allow me to? And I know I've talked about some people using mods. I'm not into that. I don't think that's cool to make a project that you had all these different things that sort of allowed you to cheat in the game. And then you're like, look what I built. And it's like, I think that there is something to say about building something within the restrictions of the game. And when it comes out really cool, you can take a lot of, what is it like? You just like satisfy with what you did because it was incredibly difficult or challenging to have to maneuver within the limits. So that's pretty much what happened. I mean, I was building constantly, writing down ideas when I was away from the game, and just sort of looking at what we could do. I think the hardest part about it is once you get to a certain height, you can't really extend like outward enough. I wanted to build a Ferris wheel. I thought that was going to be really cool, and unfortunately, there's just too much restriction. And that's okay. You're not really supposed to have a Ferris wheel in the game anyway. A lot of these different things are supposed to be to protect you while you're exploring the game and give you a safe place to sort of rest and craft. So that's pretty much where we are on that. I don't really have any sort of future plans of what I want to build. One thing we were working on was the Seattle. It's I can't think of what it's called right now, but it's actually pretty cool, and we're in the early stages of it. But I don't even know that it's a big concern right now. I think the big concern is trying to prepare myself for different updates in the game and sort of just getting ready for that. So we are going to be checking out all these different other areas because some of them obviously we already grabbed last time, and I guess some of them have not responded. So we got to keep going and try to be efficient. So I love the graphics in this game, by the way. I think they're amazing, and I just I don't know if RuneScape, like the original RuneScape, had these sort of graphics. I think it would have changed a lot. I think a lot more people would have played RuneScape. I think people would have stuck with it more, and I know I might have already talked about it, but like a lot of people want this to be an MMO, which makes sense. But they've already got an MMO, so it's like you have to think from I guess like a business standpoint. You've already got one creation that sort of touches base with that. So if you were to change and go to this, it wouldn't destroy the other one, but I think it would definitely hurt it because obviously the graphics are important, but as well also this game's pretty amazing, to be quite honest. So I think people would definitely leave the other one, and it would sort of leave a bad taste. Um, but we're just gonna keep grabbing all this rune essence. This is essentially what it takes. It's just committed to the cause, just non-stop grind. And I mean, whether you're gonna do it now, whether you're gonna do it in Fell Hollow, wherever you're gonna do it, you're gonna be doing it if you want to sort of reach 99. So I know that that's what it takes. And I mean, when I played RuneScape, I actually had two different characters, and one of the characters I believe had about 14 level 99s, and then I decided to make another one at another point, and that one had about 10 or 12 99s. Both had quest capes, so it was quite crazy. But I really enjoy RuneScape. A big reason that I'm so fixated on this game is because anything basically with the name RuneScape attached sort of calls to me. It's sort of, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people like that as well. So it's not just me. It's really something to be excited about. These is tough because what's going to happen here is I'm going to try to shoot these down, and then they're going to end up all over the ground. I don't want them to fall, and that one already did. So it looks like out in the valley out there is a little bit more that I can grab, and then that's pretty much going to be it. But we're going to go ahead and pop another rune crafting potion. And you've also probably noticed me sort of grabbing dwell berries now. And what is it, red berries? And the reason for that is they're very important when you're cooking. Because if you were to just cook regular, you're going to get horrible XP. So you really want to add the secondaries, as this is going to increase XP you're going to be getting by quite a bit. So I need to get lodestones on this guy and the other guy over there. I don't want to go there. There's some enemies. But ultimately, we have some work to do when it comes to putting out lodestones. So that's for sure. We're going to be doing that behind the scenes. And we are almost done gathering our rune essence. And then we are going to turn it into runes again. And then we will... I mean, there's really not a lot that happened. We gathered. We mined. We got some rune crafting XP. But we will do another XP update at the end, just because I think it could be important, just in the fact that little things here and there change. Nothing major, but I'm still going to do it anyway really quick at the very end, sort of talk about where we're at. So I think, other than those three, I guess there's three more over here, we can grab those as well. So there's something eerie about this part on the map. It's really cool, it's dangerous, and it's just sort of like you need to be aware of your surroundings. And I think that's sort of something that they captured very well in this game. When you have to sort of pay attention, that's also important. I just think it adds an element of sort of survivability. So I think that they got that pretty spot on. I guess we'll grab this last one, and then we will go back to the base. What are those? I thought you could... See, eventually I wonder if you could pick these. You see, it would sort of make sense. But for now, they're just nothing. So, very excited about farming coming to the game, which I don't think will be here till December, but I'm really excited about that, and I get to build a really cool farm area and just do some really cool things with that. So we've got quite a bit of time left on our rune crafting potion, so I think we are going to look in our inventory and see what we need. So we pretty much have all the runes we need. So we're going to go ahead and bank a ton of these, though. We're going to do nature, and we're going to be doing earth and law. Nature, earth, and law. And the reason is we want to make sure that we replace whatever we're taking out of our inventory. So we're going to be making these really quick. And as I stated before, it's not a ridiculous amount of rune crafting XP, but it's a grind, and that's really why it's called the daily XP grind, because this isn't something that's just going to come easy. And I don't know, we're quite excited about it and the challenges that we're going to have to overcome. I'm very interested to see the next dragon that's going to be in the game and the threats that it will pose, because I'm guaranteed that if it's difficult enough, I'm going to be banging my head against a wall trying to kill it. But I know for a fact that no matter the difficulty of whatever they throw at me in this game, there's no quit. It's not going to happen. So essentially, I'm going to grind it to the end. And it seems that they've talked about how there's future plans for this game. I mean, I'm talking like they've got 2027 plans, sort of like in the beginning stages, but they didn't want to get too far into that. But ultimately, they've got plans. So what it really means is this is going to be something that I'm supposedly going to be sort of invested in potentially for the next couple of years. So I think throughout that time, I think quite a bit of things are going to happen and change in the game, and it's going to be fun to cover all those things and sort of be a part of it. So it's very interesting to see how much popularity this game gains. And I know that they sold 600,000 copies upon release. I'm sure they've sold more by now, and it's just going to be cool. But I also need to make some more of these as well, because I'm tired of just getting destroyed by monsters. So this will actually greatly help me when I'm out there leveling up my magic. But anyways, let's go ahead and drop all this stuff in here, and then we are going to do our XP update, and then we're going to call it for this episode. So let's go. Was that raw meat right there? I'm not quite sure. I have to double check. So it was raw farm meat. Anyway, it's too late for that. We'll have to do it another time. So let's go ahead and do a cooking potion and run and grab all this. So earlier we got like 750, so that's another 250. So we got like 1,000 cooking XP. Absolutely atrocious, disgusting, and just horrible in every single regard. So here we go. Let's go ahead and pop an artisan potion and then run over here. So that's 8,000, 12,000. 12,000 artisan XP. So although it's not necessarily the most important, because we're not really focusing on that right now, it was actually quite a bit of XP. So I think that was pretty much everything that we had going. I wonder what level we can make a magic potion. Let's take a look really quick here. I actually don't see it. I probably can't do it yet. It's probably maybe like level 50. I'm not quite sure. So anyway, guys, let's do our XP update really quick. Attack, we didn't touch it, so it's the same. Woodcutting, we didn't touch. Construction, we did not touch, so it's the same as when we started. Rune crafting, 392,000 XP. So we actually got quite a bit. We're almost at 400,000. We did level magic in this episode. Mining, we got a little bit because of all the essence. So we're at 4,021,000, which is amazing. Artisan at 3,035,000, and cooking's at 114,000. So we're gradually making progress. Cooking is the one that I'm very sore about, and it's always going to sort of irritate me of how long it's going to take to level. But anyway, guys, we really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you made it this far, we appreciate you very much. And come back tomorrow. We're going to have another episode. So thanks for watching, and leaving those out.